Hello, Solo of the Month. My name is Matthew, and I'll be your host for today's class, covering Herman Beeftink's Iroquois Suite. And we are delighted today to have Yamaha performing artist and clinician Tracy Harris with us today. Hi, Tracy. How are you?
Really well. I'm so excited to be here. I'm excited to see everybody and talk about this piece and learn some really amazing tips and tricks too along the way.
Well, wonderful, and thank you. And Tracy, where are you right now?
I am in the city of Tbilisi in the Republic of Georgia, where I've got a bunch of performance engagements. So I'm here for at least
Performance
another,
engagements
12 days.
and concertos and teaching opportunities and all of the work.
Yeah, it's a beautiful country. It's actually smaller than the size of Texas, the entire country. So, and they're famous for, there's another city, the second largest city called Batumi. They have these giant statues that come together and pass through each other and come out the other side. They're kind of known for that. But yeah, so it borders the Black Sea and then the other side's Russia. So
Sounds
yeah.
wonderful. And can you tell us a little bit about your relationship with this piece and with the composer Herman Beeftink?
Herman called me out of the blue. I was actually painting my house at the time and I was covered in paint. And he said, I've just listened to one of your recordings and I have to have your sound. And I said, who are you? I said, oh, I'm sorry. My name's Herman Beeftink, and I write for a lot of, film. I do a lot of film work in the Los Angeles area, and I've just written this piece. His wife is Iroquois, so he wanted to write something that was dedicated to her. So that's why he wrote the Iroquois Suite. And we're talking like 9 years ago. This piece was written, and he just wanted somebody with great sound and somebody who would be flexible and he sent me the music. It was about 16 pages. Obviously, if you've all looked at the score, Wings is the most challenging of all the movements. It's the most fun too. But he went down, and I think I spent 10 days learning it because he was in a hurry to get it recorded. I don't even know why. I spent 10 days learning it. Went down and recorded it in an afternoon. And he rented some really beautiful mic. We did it out of his house. He lives right next to the Kardashians. I thought that was fun. Yeah, and Herman knew exactly what he wanted when we recorded this piece. He knew exactly what he wanted. So he was he was there the whole time listening to every single note. He would have me do, the pitch bend in one of the pieces that we're doing today. He literally was, I think I had to do 15 different pitch bends before he was happy with the length of the pitch bend. But since then, then I went and I premiered it at the NFA convention. I forget what year. I think it was the next year. And Herman's become known over time as a flute composer. He wasn't sure what he was going to do, but he really is enjoying working with flute players. And he, of course, works with one of my incredible students by the name of Ramakrishnan Kumaran, who I taught for like 12 years. Is amazing. He's done a lot of collaboration with Herman as well. So I encourage you to look at his other pieces. They're awesome. And this is a wonderful piece. And don't be afraid of the Wings movement. It is really, really fun. And even if it's not played as fast as I played it on the recording, who really cares? It still sounds awesome. I've found pretty much at any speed, it sounds pretty cool. So that's my history with Herman. He's a very sweet man. His family's really nice. And, just his wife the whole time was trying to feed me and give me something to drink while we recorded this. It's really sweet. So I'm glad you guys picked this piece. It's great.
Yeah, we flute players are developing a better and better relationship with Herman Beeftink, and I want to remind everybody who's watching this video that not just Iroquois Suite, but the entire digital download collection of Herman Beeftink's music published on his website, you can get 30% off, and I believe he's leaving the discount code active through the month of June. But in case it ends at April, go ahead and try to buy all of the music that you ever might want. The code is Beeftink Allison 2025. I'll type that in the chat. I don't think capital matters. Beeftin key. Okay. Allison 2025 for 30% off his entire digital download catalog. So support living composers who are writing great music for the flute, right?
Absolutely, 100%. We don't do that enough. And I know we have some composers that write some kind of really esoteric stuff. But I think don't knock it till you try it. I specialize in romantic period of all things, so I really, but I'll try anything once. It's interesting. So, and I just did a master class with Robert Dick, and Yeah, we learned so much. He's just an amazing player, and what he does, the art form that he's embraced, is it's really cool. So I think you should try everything.
Try everything. And so with that, with talking about how you worked with Herman Beeftink, talking about the pitch bends, etc., would you be willing to spend a few minutes just helping us warm up in a way that you think would be productive to approaching this piece?
Yes. And a couple things for us girlies out there. I know lip care is super important for the men too. Lip care matters. I've had students with really bad chapped lips. Their tone is terrible, and they're torturing themselves, wondering why. And it's literally because they have dead skin hanging off their lips, so they haven't done much with their lips. So I use Aquaphor, or I use Blistex medicated. Fantastic. For girls, so lipstick always feels weird. I don't know about you guys, but I don't really play with lipstick. It's greasy and gross. So I'm always forever in search of a lip stain, and I finally found one. It's by Maybelline Super Stay. It's called Teddy Tint. I know we're getting into makeup. Sorry, I can't help myself. But it is one of those things where you leave it on your lips for like 5 minutes. I left it on. It's colored. You don't feel it, and you don't have to go on stage looking like you're anemic. You actually can have some color on your lips without it gumming up your flute. So Maybelline Color Super Stay Teddy Tint. It's the first tint that actually has worked, because a lot of people say they're tints, but they're not. So, all right. So enough about that. Okay. So we are dealing with a lot of tapers in these movements, a lot of attacks that are gentle, a lot of releases that are lifts off notes. And so I wanted to give you one of my favorite exercises for tapering. And let's face it, flutists fear tapers. They're so afraid of tapers, and they're difficult, and it's like this big mystery. And the reason people aren't good at tapers is because they probably aren't practicing them much, and if they are, they're not practicing them correctly. So I'm going to give you, because I'm a firm believer in timed tapers. I never just leave a taper up to, just when the spirit moves me, I'll cut the note off to niente, especially with the taper to niente, which I think every one of these movements has a taper to niente on it to the end. Yeah, with a slight pitch bend on earth, but that's it. So I'm going to give you my exercise. I usually put my metronome. It depends on your lung capacity, and we all know that flutists have to have the largest lung capacity of all wind and brass. Don't let anybody tell you we don't, because we do, because we have no back pressure. And so, the minute we walk into a room, a third of our lungs are gone. We get about 66.66 repeating decimal out of every lungful, right? So we have to really work hard and, use a power lung, breath builder, run. I do running, whatever you can do to work up your lung capacity. But for this, 60 to 80, I'm going to do something a bit slower. I'm going to go mid-range, probably. I feel like 69. And what you want to do, and you're just going to dedicate a few minutes a day to this. You're not going to sit there and be like, 20 minutes of this, because your lips will fall off, right? And tapers are all about upper lip strength and having upper lip strength. And if you don't have that, really good upper lip strength, the control of your embouchure size and shape and direction of airstream, it's gonna not be great at first, and that's all right. You just gotta hang in there. Do like a minute or two of these a day. I promise you, you will not recognize yourself in about 2 to 3 weeks, and you will have so much more control over your tapers. So here I'm gonna demonstrate one to show you what I do. So turn on my lovely metronome. I have it at 69 right now. I'm gonna start on I'm gonna do a third register F, okay? And I'm gonna do a crescendo from a mezzo forte for 4 beats. And then I'm going to decrescendo for 8 beats to niente. So it's going to sound something like this. Sorry, that's not going to sound like that. Right? So you can do things like the Poulenc and stuff like that. So you can have some really nice control. So let's all try it. And you do any octave you want. It doesn't have to be third register. You can do something, in the second register. It doesn't matter. But you want to be done by the 8th beat to absolutely nothing. Now, I do a trick that Julius Baker taught me, because Julius Baker was my main teacher. And I can tell you, I do this, he did this thing, and let me get close to the camera so you can see what it looks like, because it's a little funky. I'll do it on a D. I'll just do a basic taper. And look at my face to start with. Here I am. Okay, that's how you. He actually would slide his mouth to the side and pinch it off. So you're like, it was crazy. He also brought his jaw a bit forward. You don't decrease airspeed, and it works like a charm. And when I first saw it, I thought, oh my gosh, are you kidding me right now? What? But it absolutely works. It absolutely works, because ultimately you do have to close the aperture. The sound has to stop at some point. So I find it's a very comfortable way of doing it. You'll also notice I kind of lean back when I'm not trying to get close to the camera. I will lean back. Now, as you get better at this, you can change. Get loud for 2 beats, niente for 4 beats. Get really, go, and you can also practice tapers where the crescendo decrescendo is really small. Right? And you have to lean back, keep the air going, right? But don't be afraid to practice tapers. They're great for upper lip strength. They're phenomenal. These pieces require it. It's crazy. And you can do tapers with or without vibrato. I recommend you do it without vibrato at first, but later on you can start experimenting with the amplitude of the wave and speed of your vibrato and all that good stuff. So that's a great exercise to try. Let's all try one. I'm going to try it. Here we go. I'm on 69 right now. We're going to do it on any note you pick because I can hear you anyway. Okay. I'm going to do it on a lovely D. Okay. Here we go. 5, 6, 7, 8. And we'll try one more. Here's another one. Pick another register. 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? I hope that helped a little bit. And it's one of those things where you can make it as long or as short as you want of an exercise. You can do as many beats as you want to niente. You can hold it out for 12 beats or 16 beats or 20 beats. And my one little trick that I'm going to tell you also is usually we see a lot of pieces that end on high notes, obnoxious high notes, where you're having to taper to niente. Especially, in romantic period, things like that. And I can tell you, if it's an E, practice tapering on an F sharp. If it's a G, practice all the way up to a high C. Practice stuff that's ridiculous, that's above what you're doing, so that you can actually end up, so that note ends up feeling really easy. Really, really easy. Go above the notes. Or below the notes. If it's a really low note and you're having issues, go below it so that the note doesn't crack. But maintain airspeed, and you have to engage the abdominal muscles. You've got to. They have to be, kind of like all the time. You lean back. I call it an ab grab. If you're sitting there, if you lean back, you'll get to a point where you feel your abdominal muscles grab. Get back far enough, you'll feel that. And you want that feeling all the time. You should never be playing with just an abdomen that's, You really want to have that ab grab at all times because it really improves the overall airspeed, consistency of the airspeed, and it gives you better projection. And which of course helps you control your intonation, okay? So that's one aspect of this piece. There's another one. I'm going to teach you a few alternate fingerings for these movements because there are a few that are just tricks of the trade that really help, that are super helpful. The other thing I wanted to address before we get started was vibrato. And a lot of people, they look at vibrato and they're like, you just kind of have set it and forget it. I just do one thing. And they don't think about the amplitude of the wave, right? Because all vibrato is more airspeed, less airspeed, more airspeed, less airspeed. So what you want to do, though, so that you can get those, we always throw around this term tone colors all the time, like, magically delicious, like Trevor Wise, like play yellow, play purple. To me, having those different tone color, what we really mean by that is character of tone, different characters of the tone. Perhaps a more supple, soft, because it's about grief and destruction, and then you're playing something with, about you won the lottery and it's super happy. So you use different vibrato amplitudes of the wave. So the louder you tend to get, the wider the vibrato tends to get. And the softer you play, the softer dynamic, the narrower the amplitude of the wave. So you need to practice that. And again, this is something you can do for 1 minute a day, 2 minutes a day, doesn't matter. And if you listen to the average flute player, get out there, and I mean, like, the professionals out there, Baud and Go and all those people, if you listen to their speed of vibrato, there is an industry standard, and it's between 60 to like 72, 76, 5 wavers per beat. That's an industry standard. I take it to the bank, go on to YouTube, listen to a bunch of recordings, and you're going to hear, right, a whole bunch. Now, what I'm going to show you is an exercise that's going to include vibrato speeds that are nutty. You would never use them. They're either too slow or too fast. And then, the Goldilocks situation, where it's just right. So I turn the metronome on. For today's demonstration, I'm going to do 63. I'm going to just do it on like an A natural, okay? And you start out with 2 wavers, and I do 4 beats of each. So it's going to sound like this, and you're going to really exaggerate it. You never play like this in real life, but you're going to do this exaggerated, okay? And vibrato that's very exaggerated, or really forte vibrato, you absolutely can engage and use your abdominal wall besides just your throat. And hopefully you're all in your cars when you're driving around. You have time to go, or you go, all right? Practice that. Practice having that kind of control, because all vibrato is us doing that without vocalizing, okay? All right, so here we go. Here's this exercise. Let's all do it on like an A. So the first thing I'm going to do, you're going to see I'm going to go from 2 wavers per beat all the way up to 8, okay? So here we go with the 2 for 4 beats. We're going to do 3. 4. 5. And you can say university or hippopotamus, whichever works for you. Now we're going to do 6. And then ultimately 8. Right? And you would never use 8. You probably wouldn't really use 6. You're not going to use 2, but you're going to use 3 and you're going to use 5 a lot. You are, right? And the reason you want to use an uneven number of wavers is because if you don't do that, you're going to end up with something that sounds like this. Let me turn off my metronome. I mean, that sounds terrible, right? So you want to do something that's an uneven number. Right? Much better sounding. And even if you're doing your tone studies, I encourage you, if you're doing just a simple tone study, like the high tone study out of Julie Baker's book, anybody's tone study, ask yourself, what's the number of wavers that you want to have per beat? And a lot of people will do 3s to start. That kind of thing. Or today I'm going to do 5. Now, what you also want to do, because you always want to be killing more than one bird with a stone, which sounds terrible, but you want to be multitasking. So one day, focus on a really big forte vibrato. And the next day, focus on, and pick, I would pick a note out of each register each day, which maybe take you a couple minutes with that exercise. But then I would also do soft, because then you can experiment with making that amplitude much narrower, because you wouldn't want to play soft and do this. Because that would sound crazy, right? Not, right? Because I've heard that, okay? So vibrato is a very personal thing. If you listen to the French school, and back in the day it was like a crazy, like nanny-goaty type thing. Jean-Pierre Paul slowed that down, and then Galway came along and he slowed it down even more. I think, we've kind of settled though between 60, 72, 76, 3 to 5 wavers per beat, and try to stay with an uneven number. It will really serve you well and helps with forward motion, just sounds better. So those are my 2 little quick things that you can be doing every day that's going to help you. And just make sure when you're doing vibrato that you're taking beautiful breaths and that you're making sure that you're supporting the vibrato and that, you know, it's maintaining. And you can check, and of course, never tune with vibrato. Always tune without the vibrato first. Check your pitch and then go and add in the vibrato and see how you do. Vibrato is such a beautiful ornamentation of your sound. It's such a beautiful addition to your sound. People abuse it a lot. I actually had more vibrato in this piece than I wanted to, but Herman wanted it. So I was vibrating my brains out on this piece. And you have to give the composer what they want, and you know, hopefully people will replicate that because that's how he wanted it. So, but experiment with that. And then my last word about this is always do 2 things when you play. Always play on a warm instrument. Never just throw your flute to your face. Always be closing the keys all the way down to your low B or C, except for this guy right here, and be blowing. Cover the whole thing. And none of this garbage. It should be totally silent. The slower the air, the warmer the air. And you're going to feel the warmth to right about here. And when you feel the warmth to right about there, that's when you tune. That's when you play. Gold doesn't even conduct heat. I'm playing on 18 karat yellow gold, and it doesn't stay warm for nothing. So I constantly have to warm it back up. And there's nothing like playing on warm silver, warm rose gold, warm yellow gold, whatever, warm platinum, whatever you're playing on. It's so helpful. So you always want to be blowing into your flute. It usually takes about 5 to 8 seconds, depending on how warm the room is, but never ever play a cold flute. It will change your life if you take the time to actually warm the flute up a bit. It will absolutely change it. You'll be like, wow, I didn't know I was capable of such beautiful sound right off the bat. Okay? And that's, of course, what I was doing when I was recording these pieces. I was sitting there literally till we were ready to keeping the flute as warm as humanly possible. Okay? So I think we have, let me get who's playing for me first?
Yeah, it looks like we've got Beth first, who will be playing the first movement from the Iroquois Suite, Earth. And Beth, are you playing this on alto flute?
I was gonna, I was gonna ask the question, like, what instrument does Tracy prefer? Is there
I
a
don't have a
preference?
preference. I recorded it on alto because I
Oh,
just
okay.
gotten a new alto that I love. So if you listen to recording on YouTube, it's an alto.
Oh, okay.
Nothing. I love alto. I love low flutes. Love
Oh,
them.
good.
So please, by all means, if you rehearse it on alto, let's hear that puppy on alto. Matt, I have a question for you, Matthew. Can you make it so that my picture is bigger? Because we are able to do that with Zoom, and then you can put her next to me.
Yeah,
Is
so
that possible to do?
you
Huh?
might have to change it on your end. On my end, you and Beth are equal sized right now.
Yeah, I know. If you go into participants, sorry, it's not participants. It's in the gosh, let me find it. I should have told you this yesterday. We'll just continue because it's going to take too long to get you to do that. But you absolutely can have me big and whoever's playing for me big as well. I'm sorry, I'm small, you guys. Hello. So I'll try to get closer to the camera. But yeah, Matthew, I'll talk about that because I didn't know you could do that either until I did the Robert Dick class online. It was it just rocked my world that I was able to do that as the host. So I will get that information to you. All right. Okay, Beth. So we are doing Earth, yes?
Yes.
Lovely. All right.
And just so everybody knows, we'll do 8 minutes per person. So if you hear me shout out, don't be afraid. Don't think you're doing anything wrong. It's just we're going to try to give lots of people some great experience and opportunity to play for Tracy. All right, Beth, when...
Okay.
awesome sauce. Okay, look, they're all silently applauding. Like we should do jazz hands, you guys. Since nobody can hear the applauding, we're gonna do this, jazz hands. The more excited they look, the better you did. Okay, awesome. All right, jazz hands. Okay, so all right, so alto. I love alto. It's such a beautiful instrument. You got to put a lot of air through that puppy, though. You got to put a lot of air through it, and it's sensitive too. So while it's a big honking tube, the stability of it is not as, you can't count on it as much as a flute. Like if you push a little too hard, it's going to crack, right? So the first thing, and I think the exercise that we did, the vibrato exercise, I think is very relevant to what I'm going to talk to you about with this piece. Couple things. And this is for everyone. I cover about 50 to 60% of my embouchure hole. When I play, it is like, where's my camera? Hang on. Need a bigger picture of it. I'm covering at least 50% of this hole, okay, to 60%. And I want to show you guys my quick little tip. I wrote a best-selling book called The Flute Boot Camp Manual. Feel free to go get it. It's published by Winger Jones. Put your finger right here. It's called the PIP test. I call it the PIP test because this is a proximal interphalangeal joint. Orthopedists call it PIP joint, PIP joint. Put it right here, you frown, and blow straight down. And you want to feel the air column hitting this joint. And you want to hear the air. Okay? We drive every ounce of air that we can. We're pushing air through that flute as much as we can. And if you've ever heard anything about like blow over the thing like a Coke bottle or a jug, all that, just forget all that garbage. It's absolute trash. You don't want to do that. It's not 50% in, 50% out. You want to drive as much air down the flute as possible. And what I want you to do, Beth, is we're going to take the head joint off the flute. Everybody take your head joints. That's right. We're going old school. Mm-hmm. And this is why, by the way, people conjecture why Jimmy Galway has such a beautiful signature sound. His teacher made him play for over 6 months on the head joint only when he started flute. He said he would sneak his flute together because his dad was making him, do what the teacher said. And he said it was so boring he could barely stand it. But he credits it with a lot of why his tone is so amazing. Because if it's not good on here, adding 2/3 length to it certainly isn't going to make it better. Okay? So you want the cleanest sound. And this, by the way, is an exercise I do to this day. And I don't know, you don't need to know everything about my life, but I literally almost died from sepsis I hadn't played for literally a few weeks ago. I was very sick. And the first thing I did when I got back to this puppy was head joint work. And here's the exercise, and it's great for flexibility, which we need to care about, especially in good old morning dance, okay? So here's my exercise. I'm literally going to do good old metronome 160. And then I do in threes, fours, six, 8. And let me tell you, that's going to fix so many any tonal issues that you're having. It's going to make your tone sound so much more beautiful. The flexibility and your third register is going to get a lot better pretty darn quick. And it's just quarter note equals 60, 4 beats of each pattern. And it is difficult to hit that higher note. And if you're a teacher out there, you are going to get students when they first try this, they're going to get this. They're going to blow it super hard because they can't get the note out, right? It's so important, and it is difficult, and acknowledge the fact, your student, that it is difficult to get that higher note out. But Beth, for you, the reason I want this is because the flexibility will be there for you, but you'll get more air down into the flute, and you'll have more flexibility. So let me hear you play. I just want to hear this. And by the way, a lot of us that drive that much air into the flute, if you turn your tuner on, you're actually going to get a super sharp G sharp or a very flat A. If you're covering the right amount, you're not going to get an A necessarily. And no, that doesn't affect intonation. I'm known for my intonation, so it won't hurt it. But just, you know, if you're not sure you're covering enough, it's got to be a little bit wonky. At least that's what I found anyway. So what I'd like you to do, Beth, is do this for me. As beautiful as you can make it, I want you to drive it straight down, back towards your Adam's apple even, I don't care. Cleanest sound you can get. Okay. All right. Now we're going to try this again, and I want you to do a 3 pattern for me. And it's going to sound like this. Okay, that's better. But I want you to keep the pattern going. We're going to actually now make that triple waver more connected, because right now we're almost stopping the air. So we're going to make the amplitude of the wave a bit smaller.
One minute.
Yeah, nice, nice. Now, the other thing that I have to tell you, Beth, and everybody here, if you're not practicing in front of a mirror every day, you're not practicing right. You need to have a mirror. You can buy, there's convex mirrors you can buy on Amazon. I like the full body mirrors, just have it in front of you. But you need to practice from a mirror, because then you can check, are you covering 50, 60%? Are you doing this kind of stuff, right? Because this needs to be at a 90-degree angle. You can move your head with it, but you can't play like this or like that. You need that thin ribbon of air hitting that strike edge straight on. And there's so many things I catch myself doing to this day when I practice in front of the mirror. It's absolutely annoying. And the reason a lot of people don't want to practice in front of a mirror is because they don't want to, you know, face it. They don't want to face the deficiencies they may have. And I promise you, it becomes very clinical after a couple of days. You stop looking at your hairdo. You stop looking at whether you've got a zit somewhere. Nobody cares. You just make it very clinical and you just start working it. Okay? So that's what we care about when it comes to mirror work. All right? And hand position. That's why I put so many pictures in my book, because I think it's so important that you're able to see what correct technique looks like and be able to replicate that. And you can't do that unless you look in the mirror. Okay? I want to go back. I know we only have a minute, Beth, but I might want 1 extra minute if you don't mind, Matthew. With her. So what I want to do, hang on, and just since I'm putting my head joint back on my flute and we're all doing that, there's a little hack I can teach you, which is if you're playing in front of a music stand that's black or brown, you know, it won't work with a silver one. You take your head joint and you put it right up against the pole. You're going to see a reflection of the pole of the music stand in your flute. And you want to have that reflection go through the center of this embouchure hole and the center of this first key undepressed. And it works like a charm every single time. Okay? So I'm actually going to do that right now because mine is getting weird. Because you want to have consistency. Everything about playing flute better, you know, getting better on it, improving, everything is about having your head joint in the same orientation every single time you put it together. Because if it's not the same every day, what are we doing? Obviously, we're changing the length of our instrument every day because depending on the temperature and humidity, we're having to have the head joint out farther, which makes your flute longer, or it's flat, so we push in, it makes our flute shorter. So every day we are kind of playing with a slightly different instrument. That's already a challenge. So why should we torture ourselves by not having this very consistent? And when I'm touring, I actually have, that's almost rubbed off, I actually take a Sharpie and I mark it. I mark it on the head joint and on the barrel. So if I'm cleaning my flute up between concerto movements or whatever, I can quickly put it back in. I also will put a line horizontally, approximately where I play at a 442, right? And I'm assuming a lot of you guys play on newer flutes. Those are usually tuned to a 442. You can ask your factory manufacturer, you know, you can ask your company, what is my flute pitched at? Is it a 440, a 442? Or depending on the orchestra that you play in, you could be tuning to a 442, a 444. Berlin's gone as high as a 446. LA Phil switched to 442. They're now 442. They used to be 440. They didn't want to move. Here in Europe, if we have instruments, if I'm playing with a group that, you know, like a chamber group, I just did something last week where, you know, some of the instruments are 440 and some are 442, we agree to play at a 441. And while that seems ridiculous, it absolutely does matter because these are built to sound their most beautiful when they're played perfectly in tune. It's called the maximal point of resonance, or MPR. These are made to sound their most beautiful, give you the best tone, the most resonant tone when they're played in tune. And that's why, besides practicing in front of a mirror every day, you need to be practicing in front of a tuner every bloody day. And just leave it on. And face your fears, and face the poo, and face the flatness and the sharpness and all that stuff. Just leave it on. And over time, you will learn your tendencies, because you have to know your tendencies in every dynamic, in every register. So you can make a grid, and I've got a new book coming out called Sync 6, and there's going to be a grid in there that you can do that in. But you want to make a grid and know what your tendencies are. So if you are sitting in a rehearsal and the conductor's like, flutes are out, or, making a face, I'm on a third register E, and I'm usually sharp on that in the mezzo forte. I need to take my pinky off, right? Knowledge is power, know what your tendencies are so you can go in and play the pieces as beautifully as you can. So I want to go back, Beth, if you don't mind. I want to try just the opening, because let's face it, he repeats that figure a lot, doesn't he? Da-da, da. He does it a lot. So what if we think about just doing a 3? And that you never play it like that, but I just want to try it. Okay? All right? Just so we can control it. So go for it. Okay, so you can hear that you're having tempo, speed issues, right? It's hard to control that. So I have a singing background, so it's easier for me. But I'm not kidding you. In your car, and I don't care if people give you weird looks, when you're sitting in your car at the traffic light, there's nothing to stop you, Beth, or all of you guys from going, or ooh, pick a number and go for it. And you know what, at first it is kind of shocking, even as flute players, because we do use vibrato, it is kind of shocking how uneven potentially some of the numbers will be for you. And it's so amazing. You can sing in the shower, sing in there, because at the end of the day, if you're doing this exercise, you're going to go back to your flute and it's going to be beautifully even, because unfortunately the vibrato does have to be even. And people don't practice this. People don't go out of their way to practice vibrato. So it's kind of, well, if I just wiggle it a bit, it'll work. But I think Beth, you could easily have this puppy nailed in just a few weeks. It doesn't take a long time to get in touch with this. And if you're not sure what part of your throat you're supposed to be doing that sound, doing that air pressure change with, we're going to do what we call the European ambulance. Everybody put your hand right here, right? Where your larynx is, and you're going to do this really ugly sound. Ooh, 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 ooh. Go for it, everybody. Go for it. Don't be shy. Ooh, 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 ooh. You feel that slimy thing going up and down? Slime, slime, slime? It's the same thing when you're right. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Right? Try that right now, everybody. We're going to do it on an ooh, and put your fingers right here. Ooh, 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 ooh. And you're going to feel it move. Not as much as the European ambulance, but you're going to feel it move. And a lot of people, we didn't come flying out of the womb knowing how to control that. We have to practice like everybody, we have to train it to do what we want. So that's something, Beth, I would spend a lot of time working on, is getting your vibrato in gear, because I think you're gonna get that liquid spin going, and you're gonna love it. You're just gonna love it. I love the fact that you love alto. Check and make sure, and do experiment with the 50%, the 60%, 40%. See how much, because alto is a little bit different. See how much you really want to cover that's going to give you the cleanest sound. That's going to give you what we call the least artifact, right, in your sound, like extra fuzz, fur, that kind of stuff. Because I think that you could eradicate that with some head joint work on the alto head joint itself too. Okay. The pitch bends, they're just faster pitch bend. Thank you, Matthew. The pitch bends are quick. You did those pretty well, but you just want to make sure also when you practice this, my last word of advice is play this to the 8th beat. Da da ba da dee. Right? So that you're holding, because I noticed you weren't really holding tempo as well as you could if you just practiced it to the 8th. That subdivision will fix that for sure. But thank you for playing. It takes such bravery to sit in front of a bunch of your peers and play. Way to go, Beth. Woo! All right.
Thank you.
All right, who's next on the hit parade? Jazz hands! Come on, people! Where's the appreciation? Let's go! Woohoo! All
I
right.
wish I could have magically unmuted everybody when we were practicing the siren sounds together. That would have
Oh,
given
that would
us.
have been hilarious. That would have been awesome. All right, who's next? My
Next up,
phone
we've got
keeps.
Ruth playing the third movement, Morning Dance.
Ooh. Andante spirito. All right, where's Ruth? I need to see where Ruth is.
Right here.
There you are, Ruth. Hi, Ruth. Nice to meet you,
Hi.
Ruth. How are you doing today?
Awesome.
Awesome. I love that.
That ambulance thing was a lot of fun.
You can always do that. It's very helpful to just get in touch with the apparatus that we have to use to do our vibrato. So,
Ruth, before we
all
Absolutely.
right, morning dance. Do you have any questions before we start, or maybe we'll just hear you noodle it and then we'll go from there?
Well, when you're counting it, do you think about the eighth note or the quarter?
Say that again, Ruth.
When you're counting it, do you think about the eighth note or a quarter?
Well, when I first was learning it, absolutely eighth note.
Okay, great.
Da 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 da. No, no, absolutely.
Okay.
100%. But after that, you have to have kind of a bigger that four feel. Yum ba da da dee da dum ba ba da dum. Right. So, but subdivision is always a good idea, you guys. Subdividing. You know, Julie Baker he had a very famous saying: "If you never make a mistake, you never make a mistake." Think about that for a second. If you never make a mistake, you never make a mistake. And he was a stickler for playing things as slow as you had to play them at first, so that the very first pass, it was flawless. The very first pass, because there is a tempo for every piece, I don't care how hard it is, Lieberman, whatever, there is a tempo that you can play, anyone can play that piece at if it's slow enough, right? So you have to ask yourself, and then your students will roll their eyes, oh, it's so slow. Yeah, but how can you play faster why should you play faster than what you can play with perfection? It needs to be perfect the first time, every time. Is it going to be? No, but you're certainly going to shoot for that. And what is the number one obstacle for people learning stuff? It's not playing slowly enough, not being patient enough with yourself to work up the piece properly. And so people don't do that, and so they waste a lot of practice time. Drilling in bad motor memory, incorrect breathing, just the whole 9 yards, when you could have just started out, built that foundation for your house of beautiful concrete and rebar, so that by the time you're done and you're a tempo, it is absolutely there for you, 100%. So I encourage you guys, and part of that is, of course, subdividing the beat. If you can subdivide the beat, you probably should anyway if you're going to take it extra slow, because then it's not a wasteful pass. You're not just working on it for technique at that point. You also can make it a tone study. You also can sit there and think about your dynamics and how beautiful, am I doing a true pianissimo here or mezzo forte there? Is the articulation, are these really marcato versus accent? Am I doing that? You play it slowly enough, you get to look at all that. And that's what my new book is about, is combining all the elements that we do in a synchronous manner, and making every pass on every piece or exercise or scale work for us, right? Don't just do something for one thing. Right? Do it for, look more globally at your flute playing. And I think you get more out of practice that way too. But slow and steady wins the race. All right, here we go. Where'd Ruth go? Where is she? There she is. She moved. Okay. All right. Jazz hands. All right. I could go into the rhythmic issues. I don't want to talk about that because rhythm can be fixed. We can talk about that. But what I want to talk about are a couple things that I think are going to help you with flexibility and with, there's a couple tricks also. James Galway, when he first started playing the flute, he had very tiny hands. And so he really had to struggle just to get the finger, to hold the flute up. So he has an A natural that in order to keep the flute steady, he would add the A flat and he would add this third finger in the right hand. I want everybody to try that A for a second. It plays a bit higher than a regular A, but it feels so good and it's really nice sounding. So pretty, right? Do you guys feel that? It's a cool finger, and it is fantastic when you're having to do a taper on it or play a soft A. It's fantastic. And if you're just having like a sucky tone day, playing that A, it just feels good. It just feels like a good fingering. He uses it to this day, by the way. Perfectly good fingering. All right, so that's one thing I want you to do just on the A's. Every time you hit an A, I want you to add that fingering in. I think it's going to really help you. And when you see a tie under a slur, right, everybody, we don't tongue it. It's still a slur. It's okay. I'm just making it clear, everybody, because I actually messed that up well through high school. I just wasn't using my head. And the accents are tough down there, aren't they? Because they want to crack. Those notes want to crack. So what I want to do is we're going to sit and just play some A's, you and me, Ruth. We're going to play some A's. Yeah, 'cause we love A's. So, and everybody just feel free to A along with us. I don't care. And you can try it in 2 octaves if you want, but we're going to do the lower one. And here's what I want you to do, Ruth. We're going to do accented A's. And you're going to say the syllable 2. You're going to have the tip of your tongue exactly where you actually would say the number 2, okay? But I want you to have some really nice airspeed behind everyone. So lean back a bit, kind of get those abs engaged. Okay? Yeah, I like that. I like that. It's more stable too. Now, can you tell me how much are you covering right now with your embouchure hole? How much are you covering with your lower lip? How much do you think?
Well, I thought I was right in the middle. Now, more.
Okay, now do this for me. Do this for me. Now tell me, I want to hear the air hitting this joint. Can you do that for me? Like literally take your finger, use your finger, yeah. And put it at the base of your chin, not up here, base of your chin. Straight down. I need to hear more air. I need to hear twice that. All right, now put your flute back to your face. Okay? All right? No vibrato, just straight A. Okay, that's better, that's better. Can I have no vibrato? Just straight pitch, no vibe. Yeah, now I want you to close your eyes and I want you to remember what we did with the PIP test, okay? I want you to close your eyes and I want you to aim air back towards, remember you like the ambulance, woo! I want you to aim your airstream back towards your neck. It's not going to really be doing that, but I want you to pretend you are, okay? Close your eyes and try that. There we go, we're getting cleaner. Yeah, yeah. Now do this for me. Keeping your upper lip, right? Keep it straight. Don't make it super, you got to engage the upper lip muscles, right, for that. So you can keep the airstream down. And try it again. It's okay. Yeah, I want the slow one. Okay, now we're going to try for 3. Thank you. Okay, so totally okay. You need to be singing in your car, singing in the shower, singing while you're cooking, fries in the kitchen. You need to get that under control because it's going to give you such power. At the end of the day, I play flute because I can go to a place like Bleasy and I don't have to speak the language and I can stand there and play a piece about sadness. And if I've done my job right in those few minutes in that room, people the applause kind of gets held. So maybe people are crying. You've really done your job if they're crying a little bit. And for those few minutes, it doesn't matter what color we are, what creed we are. It doesn't matter where we come from. We're just all human beings. We all share the same emotional palette. So being musical, right? Being as musical as you can be, right? And I hate that, just play it with feeling statement, garbage like that. You have to really figure out what the context is for everything you play, even scales. I have my students do what I call emotion scales. So every day you pick an emotion. Okay, today I'm sad. My puppy died. You give yourself context and you're allowed to play any speed, any articulation. How would you play your scales that day? How would you play them, right? You'd probably play a slower tempo. You'd probably play with more legato articulation. You might have, maybe not a super loud, you might be softer dynamic, right? And then the next day, you won the lottery. Woohoo, right? And how does joyful sound? And if you can do that on a scale, you can imagine how you can apply that to your pieces. And so for this kind of stuff, what is going to allow you to be more musical is having good technique. Good technique allows you, great tapers, great vibrato, being able to vary the amplitude of the wave, all that good stuff. That's going to allow you to sound even more musically sensitive. And that's what I'm after, right? The clean tone, yeah, everybody's got clean tone. I mean, Robert Dick was just saying in a class we did a little while ago, he was talking about how, we shouldn't even look at each other as competition. Our competition is a freaking computer. I used to do a lot of work in the studios, a lot of recording for Disney, and I can tell you, the amount of calls that people get now for film, it's exponentially smaller. Right? Only the really, really big films with the big conductors like, John Williams, they'll spend the money, they'll pay the London Phil, and they'll do the Harry Potter. And they'll hire James Galway to do the Phoenix solo. But that's not the norm anymore. So the public is used to hearing these electronic flutes that they can now actually make sound quite musical. So when we go out on stage, boy, the standard is through the ceiling. It's got to be just flawless and amazing and perfect. And we're actually having to compete against machines. It's ridiculous. Right? But I prefer human. Thank you very much. I think human flute, I just think, you're losing the humanity in that. But I would work on getting your vibrato and getting your tone where you want it. Do head joint work, blow straight down, do that pip test all the time, do that vibrato in the car. And I would also, when you hold your flute, I want you to push it a bit more forward. And I think in general, you guys, I use a lot of pressure against my lower lip. I don't float the lip plate. So when I'm playing, I have enough pressure that if someone comes up behind me and tries to push my head joint away, they can't do it. Because here's me pressing, and here's me not pressing. That's a huge difference in tone quality, right? So Ruth, are you pressing or not pressing? Tell me.
I really don't know. I always thought I was.
Let's try it. Let's put some pressure on it, right? That's why we all, I have a big callus right here, right? From pressing in. Go for it. It's better already. Now, I also want you to push your right arm forward. You want to have like a 45-degree angle, right? So push the flute forward. It also helps because you're going to be pushing with your right hand away from you and with your left hand into you. So you get a really nice fulcrum going. It'll help keep the pressure up. Yeah. So, and you want to have your arms away from your body. You tend to have your arms down. I call it floaty arms. If you were in water up to your chest, what would your arms do? They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that. They would just kind of float, right? So you want to have what I call floaty arms. Yeah, and you want your arms away from your body. You don't want them like this, okay? It affects breathing. It affects so many things. Yeah. That looked good. Do it again. Let me hear a beautiful A. Ruth, put your pinky down, sweetheart. Put your pinky down in your left hand. So it's thumb 1, 2, and pinky in the left hand. Thumb 1, 2, pinky. Yep. There you go. Beautiful. Girl, do you hear the difference?
I sure do. Thank you.
Woo! And I encourage you every day. Good tone is a function of good technique. Moving your fingers fast, function of good technique. Everything that I'm showing you guys, anybody can achieve this. This is not about, oh gosh, was I born with the talent of Galway? I'm always joking with my students, there's only one Galway and the position's filled. I actually just bought one of his head joints. I was so excited. My brother bought it for me as a gift because I'd almost died from kidney sepsis. And oh my gosh, I haven't played it yet because I wanted to get my playing back in gear. So I was almost afraid to touch it. I mean, I really, truly respect the man. Just incredible. He's juggernaut in our industry. Amazing. So listen to, and if you want a really good tone study for tone, go to Flute Tunes and print out, I know it's Flute Tunes and their scores are kind of bad, but print out Danny Boy. And then plug into YouTube, Danny Boy, James Galway. And you're going to see an encore he did at a concert, I think it was in Japan. It is the most gorgeous tone. It's stunning. And you can play with him. You can listen to it first and then try to emulate the clarity of it. When he goes up, he repeats it. It doesn't show it on the score on Flute Tunes, but when you repeat it, it goes up an octave. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So, and Julie was very into clean sound. And I also studied with Joe Mocker, who was also into very clean sound. It's difficult, but it's worth it. So do Danny Boy. I would recommend Ruth, Danny Boy in front of a mirror, flat flute forward, keeping the compression going. Do the head joint work first and see how beautiful you can make that gorgeous Danny Boy. You have to have a good exemplar. You guys should be listening to, if you don't already, I'm sure you do, but find some really beautiful recording of some really terrific artists and get that in your ear before you start playing, right? Have something to aspire to. And a lot of people don't do it because I've literally had students tell me, well, it's depressing. Yeah, I can't play like that, so it makes me sad. Then you're not playing flute for the right reason. You should be playing flute for the joy of it. We are all in a different place in our musical journey. We just are. Does that mean I'm less than or someone's more than because they played more years than I have? Or I played less? I mean, it's ridiculous. We are where we are. And we have to own that and be proud of that. And if we just play a tiny bit better tomorrow than we did today, and a little bit better than we did yesterday, we've done our job. We've done our job. Okay, and you can be proud of that. Thank you so much, Ruth. All right, jazz hands for Ruth. Woohoo! All right, next, who do we have?
Next, we have Iona playing Movement 5, Tree of Peace.
Oh, I found you. Okay. Gosh, I have to look around at all the squares and find. I'm always doing that with classes. Hi, Iona. How are you today?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you. I hope you can hear me better right now because in the first I had one problem with my microphone, but I hope now it's okay.
Okay, and is your name pronounced Iona?
I come from Romania. It's a little bit difficult, Iona, because...
Iwana?
Yes, like this.
I got it.
In English is Joanna. It's more comfortable for you to say.
No, Iwana is out. That's just a quick thing. My pet peeve, you guys. You will hear people say Reineke. It's pronounced Reinica, okay? It's Reinica. It's not Reineke. And you'll have Americans sitting there telling you, well, that's how we say it in America. No, my name is Tracy wherever I go. Wherever I go, it's pronounced Tracy. And, Carnegie Mellon has a great website. I hope it's still up. You can actually go to this website and it will tell you the exact pronunciation of all the composers, all kinds of great stuff. And there's a lot of other websites now, but Carnegie Mellon was kind of at the forefront of doing that. And you want to say the composer's name the right way, like Marcel Moïse is Marcel Moise. How do I know this? Because I know a ton of people that were born and raised in France, and it's pronounced Moise, but we say Moïse. Crazy town. So I try to go and find a person who actually speaks that language. I say, how would you say this? How do you say this? But, your name, and you have absolutely every right. You want to, if that's how it's pronounced, that's how it's pronounced. And a person who actually kicked my fanny on that, talk about throwing rocks in glass houses. I had Nicola Mazzanti out to do a class with me, and I kept calling him Nicola. And every time I said Nicola, he would say, Tracy! He would just mock. He would work in some weird way. Chucky, Chucky. I was like, stop it. He goes, it's Nicola, like Coca-Cola. It's Nicola. I said, yeah, but you know, I gave him the spiel like, well, yeah, but we say it Nicola. He says, my name is my name. It doesn't matter where you are. He was very right about that. So if you ever meet Nicola Mazzanti, it is Nicola, not Nicola. All right, so go ahead. And you are playing, you're playing three apiece, or what are you playing?
Yes, three apiece.
All right. And are you in Romania right now?
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. I love the internet.
It's 7:30, but it's okay p.m.
Yep, 8:30 for me. I get it. All right, go for it. Okay. Do you mind if we stop there? Just
Okay.
because I want to be able to spend time with you. And lovely, by the way. Lovely. Number one thing I'm going to say, though. Oh, Jesse, I didn't do anything. Okay. It was lovely, by the way. It really was, sweetheart. F sharp. It's really interesting that your low F sharp was in tune. Everything else was easily 30 to 40 cent sharp. There's an old joke we have about flute players. What do you call two flutists tied to the bottom of the ocean? A good start. Why do we have that the terrible joke, I know. But because we are notorious for not having good intonation. We're notorious for it. And if you want to be a flutist that people want to hire, that people, you know, are going to, and plus your tone's going to get even, we're going to make your beautiful tone even more beautifully won, I promise you. If you want to be that person that they hire, they're going to hire the flutist that can play in tune every time. Even if they don't have the most stunning tone or fingers, they will take the person that can play in tune over the person that sounds kind of okay, you know, with playing way out of tune. So the F sharp octave, and everybody can practice this, the F sharp octave matters in this piece, obviously. Yeah. And I'm going to give you a C sharp fingering that I use. Because C sharps are notoriously high. You are actually verging on a D on a C sharp, like a really flat D. You're going to add 2, 3. It's going to be 2, 3, 4 on the right hand. Sorry, I got paper in front of me. 2, 3, 4 on the right hand, and left hand, just for stability, it doesn't affect the pitch. I add 3. Okay, so if you listen to the pitch difference. So instead of, you'll get, and then it's right there on the money. Okay, whenever you can use fingering, it works for both second and third registers, right? It's great. High C, by the way, I use this fingering. I add 2, and I use my low B or gizmo for soft. Okay. And for loud. Because then I'm pegged at a 440 to 442 with that fingering. By the way, in my book, the Flute Bootcamp Manual, I include a fingering chart and a trill chart, and I put in just 1 or 2 of my favorite alternates that work like a charm. They work so well because you can have like 100 alternates for one note. I just picked the 2 that I use the most, and you should practice using these alternates. Again, according to what you have discovered, having your tuner on while you practice and making that chart, right? Figuring out what your tendencies are. So I want to try this again. And what I want you to do is I want you to warm your flute up. Do you have a tuner in front of you? If you don't, I can hold up mine. Do you have a tuner there with you?
Not now.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. That's all right. We're going to use mine. We can use mine. Let me turn on the lovely light
Okay.
here. I don't know if you can see that. Okay. All right. Here we go. I'll turn off the metronome part. I would like you to warm your flute up, right? Warm it up. Blow into it like we talked about at the beginning. Yeah. You don't want to hear any air. I should hear no air. Super slowly blow into your flute. So here's what I'm hearing this from you. I don't want that. I want this.
Oh, okay.
Nothing. Because everybody take their hand right now and blow very softly. Say ha. Feel how hot that is now. Move it faster. Say who. And feel how cold that is. Okay?
Yeah.
Is what you want. All right. So we're going to ha into the flute.
Okay.
Go for it. I want to go for it. Blow into it. We're going to count to like 6. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000. And then I want you to play an A for me, please. First register.
Okay.
Do it again. You're even sharper, and you know why? Because I had you warm the flute before you play. Okay, so we're going to pull out a truckload. Let's pull your head joint out. You can't fix that with mouth manipulation. No, I mean actually make your flute longer, like pull out. Pull the head joint out. Yes. We have to physically, when you're that sharp, you have to physically change the length of your instrument. I would say a good 1/4 inch, if not more. Okay, try it again. Warm, make it warm, blow in there a few seconds.
Okay.
No, warm the flute. Yep, few seconds. There you go. Now try again. Let's try the A again. Do it again. Okay, so we're still really high, okay? So we need to pull out at least, and I'm worried that your cork is in the wrong place because I actually do like your sound. It's nice, but I'm worried your cork might be too far down in your head joint. Have you checked your cork position in your head joint? Have you done that lately?
I check it, but it's fine. But I don't know. I know that I'm a little bit high. I sound.
It's okay.
But
it's okay. I want you to pull out. You ready for this? I want you to pull out this far. This far.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. We're manhandling this baby now. Oh yeah. It is going to do what we tell it to. We are not going to let it run amok anymore. That flute's going to obey. All right, so let's try the A. Try the A again, please. Okay, we're going to pull out even more. Do it again.
Okay.
At least as much more. More.
Okay.
It's okay.
Okay.
Okay, go for it. And that's still excessively high. How far out are you? Show me. How far out are you right now?
I'm far.
3/4 of an inch.
Is she really? Wow. Okay, I truly think your cork's in the wrong place. There's just no way. And can I see your alignment? Can you hold this up? Can I see where your head joint is in relation to your first key? Do you feel like you're aligned well? You're not rolled out excessively?
Okay.
Back up even more. Back up even more. Back up even more. I can still see you. Back it up. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Hang on. I'm gonna get out the glasses now.
Okay.
Okay. Hold it up so I can see the first key. The first key. Get your finger off the first key, please. Okay. I'll buy that for $1. I think you are rolled out a tad though. Can you check your alignment and just see? You know, if you eyeball down it, there's another way you can do it. You can take your hand, put it right here like this, put your first finger here, and you can eyeball it like this and draw an imaginary line through the center of your embouchure hole and the center of this key undepressed. Do you feel like it's in the right place?
No. No.
Is it rolled out?
Just a second.
And while she's checking, we're 3 pass, just to put that in.
Thank you.
I think now it's better, but
Okay. All right. So try the A again, please. And I want you to aim the airstream more down, back towards your neck. I mean, you have fairly clean sound, but let's change the airstream direction. I want you to drill the air straight down into the floor.
okay.
All right. Straight down.
Okay, I'll try again.
Okay. Go for it. Much closer. We're within 10 cents. Much closer. So, and do you hear how much better that sound is, by the way? The sound, it's got more power to it, more punch to it. So I think you need to get more air down into the flute for sure. Can we try playing just like you did? Can we try the opening of the piece again, please? And use aiming the airstream where you just did that. And by the way, did you guys, one quick lesson for everybody. You notice I didn't hold this up for her to see at first. When you're tuning your flute, do not lie to yourself. We treat this like a scolding mother. It is just a piece of metal. Who cares? It's here for information only. So you play your A, you play out like a beautiful, gorgeous A, like you're in the middle of the most beautiful, glorious, whatever part of a piece, and then you look. Give it a couple seconds and then look. Because we get really good at pegging the A, don't we? We get really good at making that needle go near, but that's not the truth. We lie to ourselves 24/7. It's ridiculous. Don't look at this. Look at it after you've held the note for a couple seconds, okay? All right, sorry. Go ahead. Let's hear from the beginning. Go. All right. Aim that airstream way down, girl. Here we go. Okay, now. Wow, every note was beautiful except the F sharp now, which is the only note you're playing in tune, is now flat. So, flutists have flexible jaws. Everybody take their finger, put it on the jaw like this, and say, ooh. I've got the Hope Diamond. Ooh. And you feel how your jaw comes forward? Now, I want you to say, I'm holding the cutest kitten you've ever seen. Aw, it's so cute. Aw. When you use the aw version of the jaw, that's going to bring the pitch down. And when you say, ooh, that's going to bring your pitch up. So if you look, we absolutely move your jaw. You cannot set and forget your jaw. So when you get down to that F sharp, I wish I could tell you there's some like perfect place you guys could all throw the flute to your face and it would be perfectly in tune. The problem is you do have to adjust, and you have to adjust by register and just by dynamic. You have to do that. You have to adjust. So nothing's going to be just, I don't have to work at this. I don't have to put effort into this. The F sharp will just be there for me. But the more you move your jaw and find where your tendencies are, the more your jaw and your face and how much air you're moving and the speed of air will become automatic, and your motor memory will remember. And before you know it, within a few months, if you really work at it, you can absolutely be a flutist that plays in tune with themselves. Because you can't play in tune with others if you can't play in tune with yourself. That means test octaves, test thirds, test fifths all the time, and have the tuner on all the time. So what I want you to do, okay, is I want you, when you get to that F sharp, I want you to bring your jaw forward. Okay? Da-da-da. Bring it, say ooh. Okay? All right? So go ahead from the beginning. That was lovely, by the way. Do you like the sound better? I like the sound better that you're getting. Yeah, me too. I like it. All right, let's try it again. Here we go. Warm your flute up, though, before you start. Give it a little warm air before you start. Yep. It's a habit, you guys. You just have to make it a habit. Okay. Wait. Try that. Just play the F sharp for me. And I mean, really, I want you to blow more over the hole than into it. I want you to think about aiming the airstream for where the wall meets the ceiling. I want you to think up on this one, okay? Bring your jaw forward. I want you to lean back, engage the abs if you aren't already, and get your jaw forward so that F sharp speaks at the right pitch, okay? Did you notice the F sharp didn't have as good a tone as the other notes that you played? Did you notice that?
I noticed that.
It doesn't have the same quality. Let's try again. Let's get the same quality. We need it all the same. So let me hear an F sharp.
Okay, I will
Aim up. Just hold the F sharp. No, the low F sharp. The low one. The low one. We're trying.
Okay.
Yeah. Get your head up a bit more. Get your head up. Yep. Yeah. And that's in tune. Okay?
Okay.
So, yeah, does it feel extreme? It feels extreme at first. And what you want to do, I don't care where you are in your musical journey right now, you want to make sure that you guys are playing in tune because it's going to give you the best tone. But besides that, you want your ears to hear true octaves, true thirds, true fifths. I have students who walk through my door and played for 20 years. I had a student come in who was, she was auditioning for the Dallas Symphony. And I said, her third register, when I finally was showing her like good fingerings and brought the pitch down, she goes, that's flat. That's absolutely flat. And I did, no, it's not. No, it's not. But her ears, she'd been playing with those fingerings for so long, she heard sharp as in tune. She didn't hear true octaves or thirds or fifths. And she had fingers for days. It's crazy. Really good technician. So the quicker you start doing this, the better your tone's going to be and the more desired a musician you're going to be. Okay? All right. Beautiful tone though, sweetheart. Oh my gosh, keep it up. Lovely player. Keep it up. Romania girl. Woohoo!
And
Do
thank
it,
you
girl.
for everything, so Tracy, for the advices.
Of course, absolutely. It's so nice
I
meeting you.
feel more better.
Oh, good.
And
That's like,
confident with my sound. Thank you very much.
of course. You're so welcome. You're a lovely player. Keep it up. Just, be really mindful of your intonation. I think, necessity is the mother of invention. The more you sit in front of a tuner, the more it's just going to, the more you're just going to play in tune. And the better,
I think
even better tone.
I'm a little bit focused on other aspects, but my ear is gone.
Definitely. You fix, and you'll get that fixed in no time. Anybody can do that. They've actually proven tone deafness isn't even a real thing. It's people can't sing the pitches because they can't manipulate their anatomy the right way. They actually are hearing the pitches correctly. So anybody can get the pitches right. It's just a matter of, discipline, consistency every day. All right. I'm sorry, Matthew. I'm mouthy today.
Yeah, but we're all enjoying picking up tidbits from you as you continue on.
I just want to help.
We've gone through the three main performers. Do you want to work with the two alternates today, or should we do the participation prizes? Or
I think that's up to the class. I'm happy to stay longer. It just has to. How does the class feel? Because if people are like, I got to get somewhere, or whatever, I totally understand. I don't want to make people stay past, but I would love to hear the other two players if they want to noodle for me.
Sure. Deborah, I think you'd be the next the performer doing also that fifth movement. Is that correct?
Yes, Dr. Matthew.
Deborah, hello.
Hello.
How are you today?
Oh, living the dream here in Texas.
Okay. It's a lot of. There's a lot of great flute playing coming out of Texas. Wow.
We moved here 4 years ago from Michigan, and I still teach at Interlochen in the summer. So it's nice to get a reprieve from the heat. But
awesome.
Yes. I'm going to do the Tree of Peace for you.
Fabulous. Okay, can we skip to bar 41, please? The pickup into 42. Okay, I'm going to stop you there because I want to have time to talk to you. I'm going to stop you there. Herman tends to repeat a lot of these movements. It's kind of crazy sometimes, but lovely jazz hands. Woo! Lovely, lovely. And your intonation was pretty on the mark. I think the C sharp, you definitely need the alternate fingering for that, for sure, because your C sharps are a bit high, but I think we can fix that. Vibrato, how do you feel about your vibrato? Just consistency wise.
I'm learned vibrato from my voice teacher. It was never addressed, my vibrato, until I was with Jeannie Backstresser for that summer program she was a part of, the constant flute. And that was the first time, and I was working on my doctorate at that time. And when she brought that up, I says, "You're the first person, Flute, to ever talk to me about my vibrato." And so I've just learned like a ta-ha-ha way.
Okay. And the thing is, I actually am not taking umbrage with the waiver, how you're doing the waiver. I think you can experiment with what works best in your mouth, a hoo or he or ha ha ha, whatever works best for you. But I want you to have a more consistent speed.
Okay.
So that's just a general comment, which we already gave you an exercise for that. I think it would work really well for you if you did that. But the other thing that I think we could really work on is your tone. Could be even better, I think.
Okay.
So I think some of the flexibility, we need to work on some flexibility, and this is an exercise that I do pretty much every day. And I don't know if you guys have, I'm sure some of you know about the Trevor Y practice books, books 1 through 6. He's got that omnibus edition, and he's got that flexibility study. That one. Or you can just do octaves. They should sound even, they should sound consistent with volume. And I think that you could spend some time just working on something simple like that flexibility study and kind of we need to get your airstream into the flute more. It just there needs to be more air going through the flute. Because Lord knows we're already losing a third of every breath, so we can't afford to waste any air. We've got to get as much air down into that flute as humanly possible. And that's where the head joint exercise works so well, and that will also work for flexibility. But I want to see if we can't get you to cover a bit more of your embouchure hole, just a little bit more. And I want you to think about bringing your jaw down and back just a little bit.
Okay.
Almost just like kind of separating your teeth just a little bit, relaxing the temporal mandibular joint, just kind of letting it hang a little bit, okay? And then are you pressing with significant pressure, like decent pressure against your lower lip? Do you have the pressure going also?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I want to try, because this piece loves F sharps. I want to try an F sharp second register. And because look at, it's so easy. Listen, I can literally take an F sharp and destroy it pretty quickly with very little movement of the airstream, direction of airstream. And all I did was very subtly move my airstream, and my jaw was a little bit too forward, and there goes the tone, sold it down the river, right? So I want you to drive as much air as you can through the flute, okay? I mean, seriously. And like I said, sometimes it helps for them to imagine blowing back towards their Adam's apple or whatever works for you, but I mean, really down there, like, drill it into your toes. I just want you to hold the one note. No. Don't continue playing. I just want one note. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to ask yourself, is your upper lip covering, right? Is it directing the airstream or is it not? Or are you letting it kind of give way, and then your airstream ends up, instead of doing this, it's doing this? Okay, I just want you to hold it, don't tongue. I don't know if that's the computer doing that or if you're tonguing actually. I just want one note. Okay, now I want you to go to that Galway A we talked about where you add the A flat key and the third key. I want you to try that first register. Don't bother, I want no vibrato, straight down in your flute. Nice. Close your eyes, listen to it again. Okay, now I want you to put a little bit of tension into your embouchure. I want you to actually put a bit more tension into it, okay? Slightly smaller embouchure hole. I know that goes against what people tell you, like relax and all that garbage. Don't do that. Give it some tension. Okay, now do this for me. Okay, so there were a couple A's in there that I actually really thought were better. And then the upper register, you go like 20, 25 cents sharp, right? And what that tells me is the airstream is way too high, right? We have to try to, I mean, it's a very small difference, unless you start talking about like fourth register stuff, between how far we move away from how much we drill the airstream down to the flute versus moving a little bit this way. It's very little amount. Mm-hmm. So I want you to play that low A again and then go back to the upper A. And I want you to actually really keep the airstream down a bit more than you normally would, okay? Okay, and keep your jaw down. Keep your jaw relaxed and down. I mean, not forward. Yeah. And now I want you to hold the A. Better? Do that for me. Nice. Okay. Do you hear that? Do you hear that? Now.
It's like open on the sides of my mouth, inside of my mouth.
It sounded better. Now I want you to now we're going to add the vibrato back in, but here's where you got to make sure that you don't let that airstream get too high. Because the minute you start increasing the airspeed with the vibrato, your embouchure is going to you're going to want to blow more over the hole than into it, and that's going to again give you more artifact in your sound. So. So we're going to do a straight A on the bottom and then a 3 vibrato on the top. Just triple it, triple it, triple it. Yep. Okay, now I want you to go back to the F sharp and play an F sharp octave for me the exact same way. Okay. Close your eyes, really focus, aim that airstream down. Okay, now I want you to start the piece again and keeping the airstream down and back, and I would like just a really consistent na 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 triple it, triple it, triple it, triple it, triple. We're gonna go with a 3 waver, okay? Okay, so that was so nice. Those first 2 notes, amazeballs. What she also is I think could do even better is we need to have much more consistent airspeed. Okay, here's me kind of giving up on the airspeed after like a bar. Here we go, and it's going to be exaggerated. No, you didn't sound like this. I'm good. This for demonstration purposes. Okay, here we go. Okay, but what if we maintain airspeed? Right? Then you get a much more consistent tone quality and you get that forward motion. The first one that I did, it didn't move forward, did it? It just kind of sat there, right? The plane got very, very vertical. And we want horizontal, especially when he's giving us a long, he kind of is challenging us with a pretty long opening motive there that we have to make sound like something. Otherwise, it sounds like we're talking like this, and we don't want that, okay? So here's a way that you can learn how to do that, y'all. This is from Jill Felber. I want you to get rid of everything you have in 3 notes. Everything in your lungs, we're going to get rid of in 3 notes. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to sound like this. Get rid of everything you've got. Go. Try it. Get rid of it. Just easy flat A, yeah. Everything. Okay? Now, if you're doing it right, you're going to get dizzy in 2 or 3 passes. Okay? Now, if any of you do singing and playing, which that's a whole nother episode we can do, because there hasn't been a person I've been able to teach to sing and play in a few minutes. It's really actually kind of easy to do. But if you do sing and play, something that's going to help you with consistent airspeed is droning. I know it's not going to sound pretty. You can also voice it. It's not supposed to sound pretty, but when you go back, because you have to move so much air to sing and play at the same time loudly, because normally when you sing and play, you're not going to make a lot of noise, right? Like on Be Still My Soul, things like that. So when you normally... right? That kind of stuff, you don't use a lot of airspeed. But for this, you blow like crazy. So when you go back, you get a really nice, consistent, lovely airspeed, okay? So that's one of the many things you can do. But so my things I would focus on, Deborah, are getting that vibrato under control, make it obey. Experiment with just how far down you need to move that airstream. How much air are you putting through the flute, and could you get more down into the flute? And look at your jaw position and really start using these things on the side of your head. We all tend to get super wrapped up. I do too, in like the notes or the technique of something or whatever. And I will absolutely catch myself not listening. And we get used to hearing ourselves. That's why I said, go get Danny Boy and remind yourself what insanely clean tone sounds like. Listen to Emmanuel Pahoud doing Leonore. Listen to Afternoon of Fawn. And remind yourself what insanely clean sound without a ton of artifacts in it sounds like. Because you absolutely can have that. There's zero reason. It's technique. It's all in the technique. And the head joint work will get you there too. But thank you, Deborah. That was lovely. Thank you, Jesse. Of course. All right. Who's my last but not least? Who do we got?
Nancy.
Hi, Tracy. Hi, Tracy.
Nancy.
How are you?
I am good. How are you, sweetheart?
I'm great. Everything's rainy here in the suburbs of New York City.
Oh my goodness. I love rain though. I don't get very much this
spring rain. It's a nice spring rain, yeah.
Yeah, nice. All right, what are you playing? Same thing?
I can do whatever you like. I could do Tree of Peace, wherever you'd like me to start. I could do Earth, I could do Morning Dance, whatever you prefer.
If you were ready on Tree of Peace, we could end Tree of Peace. We could go from like bar 59 to the end. Because that's kind of an interesting section.
Yeah. Okay.
It is.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know what it was like for everyone else to listen, but I think she has original sound on, but it kept muting it like this a bit. I actually did hear all of it, Nancy. I did hear all of it. I did actually, but it was like just slightly muted in places, but that's okay. I can still give my some advice.
Okay.
All right. So, like with everyone else today, pitch. Okay. You've got to just be worshiping pitch a bit more. I I think the pitch, looking at your intonation will help you tremendously. And I would especially look at your intonation in different dynamics, the
Yes.
softer dynamics especially. And then the ending, you really have to keep, it's so important that you take care of your hands. And if you're, you don't want to slap keys. Slapping keys, hitting keys really hard, you just don't want to do that. You can get the same, right? You don't need a lot of excess finger motion. Again, that can be fixed in a mirror. And also, I ask my students to record themselves every day. We have these awesome things, these phones in our hands that we can record with, and I go all the way back to cassette tapes, guys. I've been around a while, and I can tell you that I do, and I can tell you that it's a marvel what we carry around these days. Wow, it's amazing, and this is and I want to say something very quick because I knew I was going to forget. There is a company called Blue Bear Flutes, and they sell reverb boxes. Like literally, it's like a cathedral in a box. Roland also makes an amp that I also own. I have a wireless mic. It's hooked up to this, and it's like you're playing in a huge cathedral. The reverb is insane. Echo, 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 echo. Right? And the reason Native American flute players, which this is modeled after, he wanted it to be in the same style. He invented this box because, the sound that they want is like they're playing in the middle of the Grand Canyon and it's just echoing everywhere, and this reverb box is crazy, and it's at Blue Bear Flutes. I highly recommend it. Or there's an amp you can get for a few $100. I take it with me when it's a close enough concert, or I'll rent one where I'm at, with a wireless mic. Incredible. I mean, we're like moths to flame with reverb anyway. And I hate that I'm not in my normal studio. I would have had my reverb box to show you guys and play with it. It's so cool. Yeah, Blue Bear Flutes, absolutely. So amazing. And he invented it. He patented it. There's nothing else out there. And if you try to find something that'll just give you like a really good echo without going to a really expensive studio or having an engineer in whatever hall you're playing in, I will take these things to halls. Be Still My Soul, the Rhonda Larson piece. That thing needs 80 pounds of reverb. So I absolutely sit there with the reverb box. And you know what? And when you have days where like you just can't face it, your tone's not where you want it to be, everything feels uncomfortable, you slap that wireless mic onto your flute and put on that reverb box, and it's like, oh, and then all of a sudden you want to practice again because it doesn't sound like, abject poo in your opinion. So I would highly recommend that. So, and if you notice in any of the recordings that I did with Herman, there massive amounts of reverberations, tons and tons. Which is what makes recording hard, because it's so dry. You have to really record in a very dry environment. So you have to just trust that your sound is going to be great after they add the reverb. It should be good without it, but anyway. So I would like to see if you could just give me that ending with, get a bit more air down into that F sharp, please. And keep your fingers relaxed. We need floaty arms. Try to get your left arm away from your body. Yeah. Doesn't have to be crazy, but yeah. See, now you look like a flute player all the way. Woohoo! All right, so let's try it. Now, warm your flute. Give yourself a few seconds on the, warm it up, warm it up, warm it up. There you go. And when you feel it on this first finger, right, guys? When you feel it there, it's warm enough, okay? When you feel it on this finger, you're good to go.
So from the pickup into 70?
Bar 70, bar 70. I like that tone a lot better. But you know what I also want you to do now? Because I like the tone a lot better. Can we not move? And I know they call Julius Baker the Rock, the Stone. He was chastised forever about not moving. And I've actually seen teachers who shall remain nameless who literally told my students to roll their flute and move their flute around. It's so ridiculous. Jeffrey Gilbert would throw you out of his masterclass if you did that. He goes, ballet classes down the hall, leave. And he wasn't kidding. He made them literally leave. He wouldn't stay. Now, I do believe you should move when you play. I think it's important to have, you can actually choreograph moving when you play. Tadeu does, I was telling Matthew about this shoulder roll that Tadeu does, and he's like, to look all, ooey gooey. you can do that, but it's not going to help you. If it's moving this at all, if it's jerking this at all, you just don't want it. So for something that's technical, anything that's super technical or fast or tricky, you want to just hold still. Because you can do that. You can get that, because I think what you're trying to go for is that, da-da-da-da. Do that with your air. Do that with the air. Don't do that with your body.
I'm trying to do it with my throat. Yeah.
Yeah. Use your abdominal muscles. Leave the arms alone. And for the vibrato at the end, no, that was better. And for the vibrato at the end, and again, a mirror will fix this. You will see yourself doing that and go, oh, and you'll stop it immediately. The minute you're doing some kind of weird thing, like, This is a good example of having that smaller amplitude of the wave for the vibrato at the end, right? Because you want to have that. Right? So you can, and the wider the amplitude of the wave, the more it's going to, oh, thank you, Matthew. The wider the amplitude of the wave, the harder it's going to be actually to taper to the ente, or just taper at all.
Yeah.
So you definitely want to get and use a much narrower vibrato, which again, you practice with that exercise that I gave you. It's going to give you so much more control. You know, I really got fed up with myself going, I just want to be able to end pieces and feel like I'm in control, whether it's loud or soft or whatever. So you have to make exercises out of these things, and you have to work on, you know, Jim Walker used to say to me, practice what you suck at the most. Go to that first. You know, if you can't tongue down, you know, you can't tongue a low B with the accent, start the practice day with your tonguing a low B. You know, face your fears. So I hope this was, and thank you, Nancy, that was awesome, by the way. And your tone is lovely. I just think a few tweaks, you'll have it. You'll so have it.
Thanks so much, Tracy.
Yeah, woo-hoo, yeah, baby. Sorry, we went over. My apologies. We really went over. Sorry. Okay.
But we're also just glad to hear what you've got to say. So.
Oh, thank you, Matthew. You guys are awesome. You're so attentive too. Every time I look at the screen, everybody's like, "Thank you." It's the worst feeling when you got somebody like doing their nails, you know, eating something. I gave a class once. A guy was in his car driving while listening to the class. Driving his car. It's like, wow. Okie dokie. You're welcome, Marion. Absolutely.
So, Tracy, can you tell us
Yes.
what beautiful purple thing on your flute is?
Well, it's actually red, white, and blue. It's the Patriot. I invented this thing called Flute Barrel Bling. And it's been vetted by some of the best in the business, including people like Joe Felber. And today, they've all played with this on their flutes. And I originally had made it just to be like, I was going to call it the flute necklace. I just didn't want it to hurt the sound. I wasn't counting on it. I wanted it to be a Helmholtz resonator, but I wasn't sure it would be. But I just didn't want it to hurt the sound. So it now comes in 9 colors. You can get it at 1 million retailers. We're launching on Amazon next week. It's become the best-selling sound enhancing device in the country right now. And I'm coming out with 4 new colors: black and white, pink. I'm going to have a hematite that's like a beautiful silver. And what's the other color? Topaz AB, which is going to look like a rose gold. Everybody wanted rose gold. So, and what these do, because there's copper tape underneath that the kit comes with. It comes in a kit with everything you need. And you put copper tape around it. And the reason it's such an effective device to help with projection and with improving your tone quality, is because it goes all the way around what we call the center mass. I developed this with my brother, who's a nuclear physicist, and he was able to help me decide on materials, design, the whole 9 yards. And what it ended up doing, that we were hoping it would do, was improve tone clarity and help with projection. The flutes, the flutes do respond differently to every color, but they all pretty much do the same thing. But if you want to try, like if you're in New York, you can go to New York Flute Center, you can try every color. These I started putting opals in. And by the way, these are made by hand. They're put in 1 stone at a time. It's kind of incredible. But they're under $45. So They're amazing. They're beautiful. They look great for concerts, and they work. And when it first came out, I got trolled a little bit. I was a Le Freak artist, by the way. I was repping for Le Freak. I had like 9 endorsements, and Le Freak was one of them. And it is pronounced Le Freak, not Le Freck, people. It is Le Freak. And they just don't work as well because they don't go all the way around the center mass. And where the flute is densest is where the tenon goes into the barrel here. So this more successfully and uniformly takes the vibratory properties of the head joint and translates them sends them into the body in a more uniform way, in a stronger way, because it's nickel plated on the inside. So metal, you can't put, that's why stuff like other things that are made of wood or plastic, or why when you put a thumb port on your flute, it kind of dulls a little bit, because anything that isn't anything that doesn't have the ability to vibrate, it's going to be a problem. And plastic is deadening, wood is deadening. Having two things, attached with like a hairband is a bit deadening. So you kind of have to. I think that's why it works so well. And I was able to I have a family company in China that makes it, and yes, they are a family company. I didn't want to have a bunch of Uyghurs doing it or anything. I have an entire factory that does nothing but turn these out. That's all they do all day is make these. And they make them for a very affordable price, because I said, I don't want to have something that's going to improve sound that's going to cost people $3,000. When Jill Felber first tried it, she was whipping them in and on and off her flute, trying them. She loved them all, but she loves gold the best right now. She really likes the gold. And she goes, how much? I said, well, do you like it? She goes, I absolutely love it. It's unbelievable, amazing. How much? And I said, well, I'm thinking it's going to be around like, $39.95. She goes, oh, so like $3,000? Okay. She was ready to write a check for like $3,000. I'm like, no. And then when I told her the price, she said, you're not charging enough. Well, this isn't about becoming rich, ultra wealthy. This is about actually putting something out there that's beautiful, that can actually help. I have another invention it is patent pending. I have another device that I can't talk about because it's about to be patented. It's going to change how you teach people in their hand position. It's going to be amazing and cool. I'm excited about that. But I am obviously an entrepreneur. I have a flute jewelry company that's done very well. I write, I teach, I kind of do a little of everything. I just knew early on I didn't want to work for other people. I wanted to work for myself. And I play the flute because I just absolutely love it. And I've been through a lot. I was kidnapped when I was very young and put through a lot of torture. And I've lived through a lot. And I'm here to say, it doesn't matter how old you are, and it doesn't matter, dream as big a dream as you want to, and you put in enough hard work, it's possible. 100%. Go after it. Do what you want to do in this life. We're here for a blink of an eye. Don't compare yourself to other people. Well, I don't play as well as this person, or I do that. Who cares? Go out there and play as many places as you can. We're not going to get paid, and we're never going to get paid NFL football quarterback money. That's never going to happen, right? So go out there and do it because you love it. And whatever group you can get into, whatever group you can make, flute choir, quintet, get out there and just play. And that's what I love about Matthew is he's bringing flutists together, putting them in this community, and having everybody support each other. I have a T-shirt that says "Flute Friend, Not Flute Foe." Because flutists can be very snarky and very mean to each other. And we should be raising each other up because flute's the coolest instrument there is, of course. So why wouldn't we want more people playing flute? Ridiculous. We don't need to be snarky and mean. So I love the instrument. So go out there and don't let anybody make you feel less than. Don't let anybody make you feel like you can't be that person that goes and gets that chair in that whatever orchestra or wind ensemble. Start small if you have to and work your way up. Who cares? As long as you're enjoying what you're doing and you're having a good time and you've got some concerts to look forward to, fantastic. Look forward to these classes. Look forward to playing with fellow flute players. But have a community like this. We should have more like this where you guys support each other and are there for each other and play for each other without worrying about judgment. Because there should be no judgment. No one here, including myself, has the right to judge where you are in your musical journey. You get to be wherever you're at. And it's my job just to hopefully help you do it a little bit better, right? I've taught online for years and years and years. And I've had students win national competitions that never set foot in my studio. I love teaching online. Matthew loves teaching online. I think, it's really opened up the entire world to my studio, which I love. And I have seen everything you can possibly imagine. And who I love teaching the most are the tiny ones. The ones that haven't developed any bad habits yet. They're just a blank slate, ready to go. And I teach every level. I don't understand my colleagues that, the attitude, and that's not me. So be kind, be gracious. The person you're dissing today could be on your audition committee tomorrow. Flute friend, not flute foe. Just be kind and generous. Words are free. They cost nothing. And, I've heard so much. I can't even tell you, there's not a day I'm not burned in effigy somewhere. The better the player, the more they beat up on you. I mean, I hear flutists saying, oh, James Galway, he plays everything the same. Wouldn't you like to play everything the same like that? Shut up. What are you talking about? Are you kidding me? Julius Baker, he was okay. When he was at Jean-Pierre Paul, he kind of played out of tune. Shut up. I mean, give me a break. That man played when flutes were still, getting designed well. And, we're playing on Lamborghinis now. Stuff that people would have killed to play on 100 years ago, 50 years ago even. We've got amazing stuff. And by the way, just to do my plug, okay, and by the way, I did this to my own crown. Look, isn't it cute? Swarovski crystals. It actually helps the tone, by the way. If you want me to do that to your flute, I'll totally do it for you. It's nothing, and you can soak it off with rubbing alcohol. It doesn't hurt the metal at all. But be a trailblazer. But you just got to get out there and make the most of every day and play your flute and encourage others to do so. And reject the negative. I am uploading, believe it or not, my 22 albums that I've just sat and haven't uploaded because I've taken care of a lot of sick, dying people in the last 20 years. And I've neglected my social media, but now they've all passed. So I will be putting all of my albums up on social media for free. So you guys will be able to actually hear me play more than just a few things. And those will be up on YouTube. I am going to be starting some things on TikTok and I have this thing called Tracy Training where you can come and just learn. I'm going to be doing like 1-minute TikToks where I'm just going to have a technique that you can learn and apply in 60 seconds or less. Things like that. But whatever I can put out there, I'm going to try to put that out there. And thank you guys so much for being so patient today and listening and appreciating what I have to say. And I have Matthew, I think, will share with you my email. And you guys can write me if you have a question. I'm always joking. I'm sitting in like a limo somewhere or a cab or I'm on a plane. I'm always somewhere, airport, bored. So I'm doing this and I'm answering questions on text. And I always tell people that many of you have taken a class with me. You've become one of my fluter tutors. You are now part of the Fluter Tutor Nation. And that means you can write me anytime with any question. And I'm always joking. There are no dumb questions. I might give dumb answers, but there are no silly, ridiculous questions. Whatever you got, happy to answer it for you if I can. It usually takes me a day or two to get back to you, but I'm happy to help out because you are now part of the Fluter Tutor Nation. So welcome.
The boot camp book, the jewelry, and the barrel bling all have links in the chat. If you haven't noticed the chat box in your Zoom, so there's links directly to the Flute World version of that. Allison 2025 works as a code for all sheet music accessories. So if you are interested in buying barrel bling, jewelry, or Tracy's book, you can get 10% off at Flute World using code Allison 2025. And
you can get that if you go to my website on Etsy and you see something you like, call Flute World and say, I want Tracy, I want to buy this from you. I saw this picture of something on your website, and then they'll order it from me, and then Flute World gets the business, and I will still get business, and you can have the design that you want. But I do custom designs as well. But yeah, flute jewelry is fun. I love flute jewelry.
And then Tracy,
and piccolo, I do piccolo too, so tons of fun.
We talked about doing a giveaway today. Would you want to do? Would you want to draw a name out of the box?
Do you have them in a box? Because I don't have them in a box.
Okay. We can do it randomized because.
Perfect. Because
So
I'm giving away what I was going to give away, Matthew, were 2 blings and 2 necklaces.
wow, that much?
4 chances. Think of that statistically.
Okay, so this.
And you can have whatever color you want on the bling. I'm not like you have to get this color. Whatever color you want. Just go to my website and see the colors. But 4 more are coming in the next 60 days.
List either.
What?
I said I'm not on this list.
Matthew, I will send you stuff anyway. I'm going to be talking to you about some other collaborative things. So No worries, buddy.
All
I will
right, so
hook you
what we're
up.
going to do to make this randomized is I have a spreadsheet. You don't know the order of the spreadsheet. I'm going to have you, and it is not alphabetical order. This is in the order of of, well, it's actually kind of a random order. I can do a random order. I'm going to have you pick a number between 1 and 54. And let me write that down so I don't forget. 1 to 54. All right.
Okay,
Four
6.
numbers then, 1 to 54.
Okay, 6, 12, 42, and 50.
Give me just a moment. 50 is not in the meeting. Let me go.
Okay, then it doesn't count. We have to pick a different number. 37. They have to be here.
All right, let me see. Well, we've got a lot of people in attendance right now. This is awesome. All right, is
Smart than I
Marion
am.
in attendance today? Marion, all right. Congratulations. And you have Tracy, you have everyone's email too.
Yes, you can send that to me. And Marion, you want a barrel bling. So take a look at colors. We're also going to be adding other colors. So if you want to wait a month or so, we'll have more colors to choose from. Otherwise, I'll just send you when I get back to America, which won't be till the 8th, you guys, May 8th. So don't expect these things until I get back and, can breathe a little bit. So it's probably around mid-May you'll get this stuff, okay?
Do we still have Melissa DeMarco in the meeting today? I think I saw her earlier.
There she is! Woohoo!
Woo! Congratulations.
Barrel bling! All right. She's pumped. Woo!
Let's see. Do we have Carolyn Lieberman in the meeting? Carolyn. There's so many people I can't see you all at once. I don't see anybody waving for Carolyn, correct? All right.
Okay, so let's pick number 2 then. Who's number 2 on the list?
Literally number 2. Deborah.
Ah! Necklace! Woo! And you can get anyone. I'm wearing like a with mechanism on it. Just go to my website, go to Flute World's website, pick something, and then order it from Flute World.
And then number 6 is Ruth. And I know Ruth was here because she was one of the players. There's Ruth.
And that was not planned, you guys. I just literally was complete total. All right, so whatever you want, Ruth. I do have earrings too, you guys. You don't have to pick a necklace. I've got earrings. I've got other things, So just go check out it's called Flute Finery. Just go to my website on Etsy and you can see it. And then just call Flute World and they'll deal with it. Because you want the money off. Because I have to match my retailers or be higher than them. So you won't save money coming to me.
All right, so a reminder to check out Flute Finery. Also check out fluteworld.com. They've got a lot of Tracy stuff, her book. There's a trill key necklace. There's a open hole necklace. I think do you have cufflinks for men?
I do have cufflinks for men. I do.
Cool stuff.
And tie
real
pins.
flute keys, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So neat. So neat. And then the barrel bling, which is not only blingy and pretty, but a tone enhancer. I have a student who uses one, and I said, do you notice a difference in your sound? And she said, and I love this answer, she said, I feel so much more confident when I walk on stage. I don't know if it's the barrel bling or if it's that, but I feel so awesome. And so I was like, works for me, bling away. So thank you everybody who played today.
One last thing. So barrel bling's gotten so popular that I collabed with Wiseman, and now there's a flute case. And he does coffin style as well. So you never have to take your bling off your flute ever. It just fits with the bling on. So just leave it on. So, and those are available everywhere too, but they're through Wiseman. And he has like the regular coffins, and then you can get that in any color. That's the red croc, but yeah, so you never have to, because I had so many people that were requesting, like, I love it so much, I never want to take it off, but it doesn't fit in my case. I have to keep taking it off. I would just like to leave it on, so you can get cases. They're very affordable too. That one's more expensive, but the coffins are pretty affordable. It's been a pleasure, y'all.
Cases are carried by Flute World too, and those are also 10% off. When you're getting 10% off a piece of music that's $8, that's not so exciting. But when you're getting 10% off a case that's $300 or $400, it's a little bit more exciting. So check out that selection. Be sure to use that code because you all deserve 10% off. And Tracy, thank you so much for your amazing class today, your demonstration, the
Of course.
warm-ups, and the great talk about pitch bends, practicing tapering, intonation. I know that's been my biggest hill to climb, but probably the most
It is for
worthwhile
everybody.
one too.
And now, Matthew, we can tell them. I did this entire class with 22 stitches in my mouth.
Ouch.
Yeah, and how recent are those stitches also?
It hurts. It really hurts. And I also have a new appliance thing up on top too. I'm playing with like this plastic tray on top, and then I fell backstage about 7 or 8 days ago, I think now, and I shattered 2 of my teeth, and they cut into my gums, so I had to go to an oral surgeon. So, but so I'm used to the stitches. So I actually wrote to Matthew at one point. I said, I don't know if I'll be able to play or not. And the oral surgeon, I kind of went to this oral surgeon with the stars. He trained in New York, but he lives here in Belize. He grew up here. And he said, oh, my stitches will hold. No problem. Go for it. So down some Motrin and some Tylenol, and there you go. So I'm living proof that you can,
And
yeah, you can do a lot with your mouth, even with it messed up like this. So, but I didn't want you guys like feeling sorry for me the whole time. I didn't want that to like taint the way people were reacting. So, but I want to get a little bit of credit. I've been suffering a bit, so feel sorry a little bit for me. That's all I ask. All right.
We
Woo,
feel
yeah.
extra grateful for you, Tracy, and so glad you're here. And I'm
Absolutely.
not joking. We're going to wrap you in bubble wrap if anything else happens, because we need to keep you as one of our living legends.
Oh,
So
thank you,
thank you so
sweetheart.
much for being such an inspiration to the flute community, and we're so glad to
Absolutely.
have you here with us.
Absolutely. I hope to come back, and Paige, I will, if you send me an email, I'll get you some of my social media and stuff. So I'd love to see you there, cheering each other on. You guys have a fabulous, what day is it? Oh, it is Saturday for you too, just morning. It's now 9:37 at night for me, so I'm leaving. All right, everybody. Mwah. I'm
so
assuming no
much.
one has any questions. Everyone's good, right? We're good. Yes. All right. Thank you,
Thank you
Matthew.
so much.
Of
Thank you,
course. Of
Tracy.
course.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Matthew.
Thank you.